10 Surprising Myths about Mental Illness and Schizophrenia. The following are 10 surprising myths debunked by recent evidence. They're shared by professionals, some of whom themselves have experienced psychosis and recovered. You can find links to all sources in the description box below. Click on any of them if you'd like to find out more. Myth number 1. Schizophrenia is an incurable brain disease. The late John Nash's recovery from schizophrenia used to be seen as rare, but not anymore. This quote is by the World Health Organization. People with schizophrenia can recover. The service users, their families, communities, and the health and social care providers need to recognize such a possibility and maintain realistic hope during treatment. Myth number 2. You don't hear about anyone recovering from schizophrenia because it isn't possible. Or maybe the people who've recovered keep it a secret because they don't want to be stigmatized. It is likely that most professionals in this category are unlikely to publicly identify themselves, particularly those younger professionals, for whom such revelations could be career damaging. Myth number 3. Schizophrenics need to lower their expectations. Then why have we heard of those who are high-functioning, like Ellen Sachs, Eleanor Longden, the late great John Nash? When Ellen Sachs and her colleagues put out an ad asking for high-functioning professionals with schizophrenia in the Los Angeles area to be part of a study, she was surprised that so many responded. She says, "Mental health professionals should stop immediately telling patients to drastically lower their expectations. With proper resources and proper care, people can live up to their potential." Myth number 4. Restraints are safe and sometimes necessary. It's been estimated that 50 to 150 people die in restraints each year in the US. Some report that it triggered memories of sexual abuse and childhood trauma. Many felt helpless, humiliated and frightened. Most patients who'd been restrained said that if staff had communicated openly with and listened actively to them, their behaviors wouldn't have escalated to the point where staff thought restraints were needed. The following quote about restraints is by Ellen Sachs, legal scholar and mental health policy advocate. "It is frightening to be put and kept in restraints, causes feelings of degradation and helplessness, and over say 10 hours is extremely painful. This was the worst trauma I have ever been subjected to. I had nightmares about it for years and years." Myth number 5, only drugs work to treat mental illness, therapy is useless. It's been shown in studies that even when patients are compliant, antipsychotics can leave as many as 60% of patients with symptoms. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, has been recognized as an effective treatment for schizophrenia with no side effects. As the news about an effective talking therapy penetrates a wider audience, schizophrenia may no longer be seen as an essentially untreatable, incomprehensible, biologic condition beyond the reach of reasoning. Myth number 6. Schizophrenics all need the same treatment. Many criticize the one-size-fits-all approach. Dr. Bracken, the Director of Mental Health Services in West Cork, Ireland, agrees. He says, "As professionals we need to help people who are depressed or dominated by voices to find a path out of that state. That could be through medication, therapy, religion, or creativity. It is completely wrong to try to use one template for everyone." Dr. Bracken was the consultant psychiatrist who treated Eleanor Longden for the voices in her head. In February 2013, she gave a TED Talk about her recovery from schizophrenia. She says, "This was the first time anyone in the psychiatric system had talked about recovery. Before that I'd been labeled, medicated, and left. My past didn't matter and I had no future." Myth number 7. Psychosis is primarily a biological brain problem. In the article Mistakes I Have Made in My Research Career, Sir Robin M. Murray, Scottish psychiatrist and professor of psychiatric research at the Institute of Psychiatry, King's College, has this to say. "In the last 2 decades, it has become obvious that child abuse, urbanization, migration, and adverse life events contribute to the etiology of schizophrenia and other psychoses. Amazingly, such is the power of the Krepelinian model that some psychiatrists still refuse to accept the evidence, and cling to the nihilistic view that there exists an intrinsically progressive schizophrenic process, a view greatly to the detriment of their patients. Myth number 8. Schizophrenia is a severe and chronic lifelong condition. There is a broad spectrum of psychosis, from mild to severe. Only a minority have been given the diagnosis schizophrenia, but even within that minority, there is hope. Hard data show that most people diagnosed with schizophrenia recover or learn to live with their vulnerabilities. Furthermore, we learn from the recovery movement that even people with a severe, seemingly hopeless psychosis, can get a new perspective on it. A perspective where they can live meaningful lives despite their limitations. Myth number 9. Schizophrenia is a valid and reliable diagnosis. Schizophrenia has been described as a catch-all label for unusual thoughts, feelings, and behavior, but there is increasing doubt about its usefulness. You might be surprised to learn that Japan and South Korea have already dropped the label. The Netherlands is considering doing the same. In March 2015, a group of academics, patients, and relatives published an opinion piece in a national newspaper in the Netherlands, proposing that we drop the essentially contested term schizophrenia, with its connotation of hopeless chronic brain disease, and replace it with something like psychosis spectrum syndrome. We launched 2 websites aimed at informing the public about the nature of psychotic illness and helping patients deal with pervasive, unscientifically pessimistic, organic views of their symptoms. Myth number 10. Hearing voices always means psychosis. Hearing voices could be the result of sensory deprivation, grief, trauma, hallucinogens. In some non-Western cultures, hearing voices can even be seen as normal. Studies suggest that a significant minority of the population have had an experience of hearing voices at least once in their life. Voice hearing hence appears to be an experience that extends into the general population, suggesting that prevailing views in Western society of voices as inevitable signs of psychiatric disturbance need to be re-evaluated. Lastly, the image on the right is from a painting by Tony Robert Fleury, 1795, of Dr. Philippe Pinel. Dr. Pinel is ordering the removal of chains from patients at the Paris Asylum for Insane Women. He wanted mental patients to be treated humanely, with understanding and respect. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel for more videos.